Psychedelics are illegal not because a loving government is concerned that you may jump out of a third-story window. Psychedelics are illegal because they dissolve opinion structures and culturally laid down models of behavior and information processing. They open to us the possibility that everything we know is wrong.
We don't need new laws that control our consciousness and rigidly place it in a prison.
Cognitive liberty. The fact that as adults, if we're not hurting anybody else, we should have the right to explore the contours of our own consciousness without any mediation or legislation on the part of somebody else.
Reject authority. Authority is a lie.
Or is it perception?
Information is power, but we have to seize the opportunity. The opportunity.
Nice. So how you been, man?
I'm good. Things are great with Renegade University, and we really did turn a corner 6 months ago, and just have a ton of new students, new members, ton of new courses, and we're about 4 times bigger than we were a year ago.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's been really crazy and wonderful, and I hate to admit this. Fuck. God damn it, Mike. You already got me to say something I don't want to say.
Yeah.
You fucking asshole. God damn it. All right, just between you and me.
Sure.
Don't tell anybody this, okay? I'll kick your fucking Italian ass if you say anything.
There we go. You got it.
This is just a private one-on-one, right? This does not leave this room.
Doesn't leave this room.
Right.
Between these two squares.
Thank you. Unfortunately, I mean, I think that would have happened eventually, but unfortunately, the lockdowns, fortunately, I hate to say anything about the lockdowns that's positive, but the lockdowns forced me to move the podcast entirely online, like what we're doing now. So since the lockdown, I've been doing it just like this with Zoom video. So that made it into a video podcast, which increased the audience. Boom, right? It also made booking guests 100 times easier than having to like meet them face to face, right? And because my guests are from all over the world, certainly from all over the country, and so I was traveling a lot and having to be in major cities all the time, and that's when I wasn't living in a major city for a little while there. So it was just like crazy. But yeah, I have no problem booking guests. So the podcast has been really regular because of that. The quality of the guests has just been stupendous. And then it also like pushed us. We had done these before, but it pushed us to do webinars. We were going to do like streaming video courses, and those were good, but we found out that webinars were really what people wanted, and they want both for sure. The video courses, they were selling fine, but like the webinars just exploded when we started doing them again during the pandemic. And that's, yeah, it was because again, like we were forced to do this kind of stuff. But then it turned out, I mean, look, World War II gave us how many innovations that we all cherish to this day? I mean, it's countless pretty much, right? It's like every time I turn around, I'm like, oh, that's from World War II, some really good thing, like some technological advance, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm good, but we're still in this fucking lockdown.
Yeah. But what you're saying is it's good because a lot of good things have come for it. And basically you think, Fauci should remain where he is and you support it all. Yeah. So we established that. That's great.
All right. No, fuck that.
Yeah,
like,
obviously.
I mean, like the success of my business is so goddamn important. This sort of tells you how bad the lockdowns have been for me, that my mental health isn't all that much better than it was a year ago. Like, even though I've had this tremendous success over this year, you know, like the lockdown fucked up like my mind.
Yeah.
More than anything.
Too.
I mean,
yeah.
And it's and I'm like lucky, man. Like I have a girlfriend, you know, I spend, you know, more than half my time here with her. Like, and I've seen my son all the way through it. And then I have like this incredible network of friends that I talk to just like this on Zoom. And, you know, I'm fucking lucky. But dude, it has felt like I've been on the goddamn moon for more than a year, these assholes. Like I am. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And just the lack of society, the lack of society. There is no society. Like there's no, the masks. I mean, people like are always getting on me. Why are you so upset about masks all the time? It's not that big a deal. No, it is a fucking big deal when you can't see people's faces, man. Yeah. Are you trying to tell me that people's faces are unimportant? How important are people's fucking faces, and why do we have to explain this? Yeah, it radically diminishes the quality of everyday life for every single person in this society across the board.
It makes it more difficult to know what gender pronoun to use when they're wearing a mask, you know?
Thank you for lightening it up. I was about to get really pissed there.
Dude, it's okay, man. Yeah, I mean, we've all gone crazy, you know? And so my turn recently has just been, you got to fucking laugh at all this shit because it's just so chaotic. It's such a mess. People are fucking insane. And the only way to beat it is by being insane yourself.
I don't know, man. I can't do that. I think I have a very good sense of humor, but on this one, there's a few political issues where I find nothing to be funny. Like war ain't nothing funny. Just nothing, not from the top to the bottom, sideways, backwards. There's nothing funny about it. Fuck it. I will never laugh about a war joke, and shit where like the human body, where violence is done to the body by the state, like those places, you know, prisons, nothing funny, funny. There's no prison joke that I've ever found funny. In fact, I find them all offensive.
Sure. Yeah.
Immigration, for that matter. Yeah. Building a wall is not like, you know, for the liberals, it was just like stupid for Trump to do this. Right. For me, it's barbaric, you know, like it's, like it just still astounds me that like we get to fucking dumbass American luck of having just been born in this place. We get to decide whether Mexicans get to live in California. What the fuck is that? Like, and that's human lives and bodies, and people die because of it, and people suffer incredibly, just physically from it, if nothing else, nothing else. But
sure,
those things. I'm sorry, you know. I'll laugh about I can find humor in just about anything else, but those issues, those 3 or 4, like those are my big ones. I'm most passionate about, and where I think it's actually really important to not find anything funny in them, because
sure,
you're not going to change people's minds if they think something is funny, right? If you can laugh at something, how terrible is it, right? So anyway,
well, sure. I mean, I think, and it would be ridiculous for you to come out and start like, you know, like that. That's not your thing. That's like, we'll leave that to like the comedians and the whoever else or whatever. You know, they're making an impact in a certain way in the culture, and you're making an impact in a certain way. You're making a huge impact because, in my opinion, you're changing the minds and the hearts of people who actually want to learn about real things that are actually happening in the world. And you call it, you know, Renegade University. And it's weird that like we have these are the renegades, but that's kind of what history tells us, right? And as a student of history, what is wrong with people today? What is going on? Why are we I mean, this is a huge question, I know, but I mean, just, you know, like throwing it out there, because it's like, what leads to our mental sickness in your opinion? Like, I know that there's, it's kind of the war against the so-called, the renegades and the guardians of morals and values and the purity. But you really distill it down to that? Is that still what's prevalent? Is that still what's killing us?
What's killing us, what's killing me and probably you, is conformity, and then obedience to the state and authority generally. Obedience to authority, really. Yeah, right. There you go. I think you're supposed to say obeisance, actually, but obeisance to authority, obedience, either one. You all know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, my girlfriend and I were just saying yesterday, like, as soon as Newsom says masks we don't need to wear masks, everyone will stop wearing masks, which on the one hand, it's like, oh, good, because at least I can't wait for that to happen. But it's also sickening because it just tells you, and it's actually, it just tells you that they're wrapped around his finger, you know. That's just, I mean, first of all, that is the seed of fascism, it's not fascism in itself, but that is the basis of fascism, when the people see the head of state as the father figure. That's where fascism starts. Like, ask any philosopher of fascism, any historian of fascism, anybody who actually knows it, who read the original Italian texts, and knows the German history and then the American history in the 1930s. It's like, yeah, with all of them, with Hitler, Mussolini, Franklin Roosevelt, wherever there was a fascist moment, there was the very explicit, and this was very deliberate, laid out by the Catholic Church originally, and then the fascists took it up, making of the head of state into the father. And what people don't understand is, like, that's a truly paternalistic relationship. Like, they're not sadists. They're not interested in, like, killing everybody or imprisoning everybody, right? Hitler was very good to a lot of Germans. Mussolini was very good to a lot of Italians, especially working class people, right? Roosevelt was very good. He gave a lot of jobs to a lot of working class people. I mean, jobs working for the government, these are not the kinds of jobs I would want, or, like, that's certainly not my dream. For a lot of people, that's like utopia, Mike. Can you believe that shit? Like, right. Like the Bernie Sanders, right? That is absolutely the Bernie Sanders utopia, is that everybody's working on a New Deal project. Everybody is working on a New Deal, right? So, well, that's the Green New Deal. That's exactly what that is. So that everybody's working for the government directly. That's actually their dream. That's utopia. They masturbate to that fantasy. That's right. That's the promised land. But think about that. If that's your promised land, a government job where there's a American flag on your fucking uniform, then I want to rethink some values here, people. And tell me if the left actually even knows what freedom means anymore. I mean, no, but I'm right. Think of it. That is Bernie's,
you're totally right. Yeah.
That's Bernie's vision, not of, like, the midway point, but of the end point. That's social democracy. That's what they have, in Sweden. And he just wants it to even be more complete. Government jobs, government fucking jobs. And the Trumpists want the same shit. By the way, Steve Bannon, I watch Steve Bannon every day. I'm a huge fan. I hugely recommend it. It's like half of American politics. Everyone's ignoring it, but, like, you got to study this dude. He's fucking fascinating. 65% of his politics I can't stand, but it's the same kind of shit. It's this nationalist populism, where the dream is there's factory work. Also, they love factory work. And then government jobs. Like, Bannon has totally been for government jobs, public works. Trump, remember, it was his first 6 months, right? Wasn't it the big infrastructure bill or something? And that was the New Deal, yo. That was, like, the most social democratic shit that's happened since the 1960s. And it was Donald Trump it was his idea. It was Bannon's idea and Trump's idea. These so-called
it's a bit fascist, right? Yeah, there's a bit of truth there. Yeah.
But of course, the fucking idiots accuse Trump of fascism night and day, but never about that.
Right. Yes.
Never about what's actually fascist. Do you know why, but Mike? Because what is actually fascist about Trump? Oh shit, is fascist about AOC.
Right.
Is fascist about Bernie Sanders. Is fascist about Franklin Roosevelt. All their heroes wanted this exact same thing. Massive public infrastructure projects owned, operated, managed by the government. Uncle Sam is your boss. You have you're wearing a uniform and you have a fucking American flag on it. And you tell me that's a left-wing vision? Yeah, that's a left-wing. That is the left-wing vision. I want to see every lefty in the country on stage right now. Answer me that. I want to confront all of them right now. I want every one of you to tell me, why is that your vision, and why is that? What is left-wing about that? Emma Goldman would have really had that as a vision. Really? What the fuck is this? This is, you want your vision looks like the dentist office to me. Like, that's about as appealing as it. Who the Abby Hoffman, really? He would look at this and be like, oh yeah, that's totally what I lived my life for. Lenny Bruce died for that? Is that what Lenny Bruce died for?
Yeah, it's twisted. What? Yeah, it's totally twisted. It's I oftentimes, I think last time we spoke, it's interesting because since leaving Part of the Problem that I did with Dave, and then I remember like, I was like, man, I'm going into like psychedelic because I really feel like there's something here about like psychedelics that liberate you, that open your mind, that, and I really thought that the psychedelic community could really be this kind of non-conformist, kind of, freedom, like kind of movement. And I don't see that at all. I don't see it at all. I haven't seen it. I've sort of reached a point where I'm like, well, it's kind of a failure, because they're, and I remember even like telling Dave, I was like, hey, he was going on the Tom Woods show. And I'm like, yeah, this is right after Trump won. I was like, this is a great opportunity for us to communicate with lefties, to get them on board with the things that really matter, like the wars and, the prison and the war on drugs and stuff. And I think he went on Tom's show and talked about that. Man, that did not happen. It hasn't happened. We can't reach them. It seems like they are, they could be great allies, but there's this little, the left, like people on the left, like people that are liberals. Like when I was in college and we were, well, I say that like really pointedly because so I'm a historian of the left. Like that's one of the things I studied and researched and have written about, right? And it's quite a complex beast. In fact, I'm going to teach a course at Renegade University on the history of the left, which I'm really looking forward to. It's the most fun thing to teach. And so, the examples when I was just screaming and ranting a minute ago, right, that I pulled up, right, of the left wingers in history, right, Emma Goldman and Abby Hoffman, all right, and Lenny Bruce. Now, that's the left, the historical left. It doesn't exist anymore, but that's the historical left that I love, that I want to bring back. That, now I've devoted my life actually to bringing back. Yeah, I'm really right there with you. Yeah, my whole public career has been devoted to that very thing. I want a huge left-wing movement of people like that, of Emma Goldman, Lenny Bruce, Richard Pryor, and who was the other one I said? Abby Hoffman.
Abby Hoffman. Yes, right. I mean, back when the left was about, like when my parents were in it, when I was a kid here in Berkeley, here's what the left was marching in the streets for, okay? Desegregation. I think every one of us is for that. Awesome cause, right? Not this bullshit Black Lives Matter. This is some real racist shit going on. Phenomenal They fucking desegregated the United States of America. This giant. And I am the biggest critic of the civil rights movement. I am the biggest critic of like much of black politics. Desegregation, that's like, it's under celebrated. Mm-hmm. What gets over celebrated is Martin Luther King and how fucking saintly he was, right? But what gets under celebrated is desegregation, yo. Like that shit that's an incredible accomplishment. And I mean, it meant so much. Anyway, desegregation, the war. They were marching in the war, militant as fuck, to stop this horrific war in Vietnam, right? And free speech.
Yeah.
So the free speech movement, very famous at Berkeley. My parents were a part of it, UC Berkeley, in the early 1960s. You know, this was because the left was being suppressed at that time. And like in the early 60s, they were still being suppressed. Truly, not like now they own the media networks and claim to be suppressed. No, back in the early 1960s, yeah, no, they really got suppressed. You weren't allowed to talk about politics on the grounds of the campus of UC Berkeley. Mm. And that was this huge fight. It ended up being one of the major turning points in the 1960s in the whole history of the United States in the modern era. And the left made free speech its cause because its speech rights were being squelched, right? But I mean, that's a slightly cynical interpretation, which might be right. But
that's interesting that you said they made it its cause. Because I'm wondering, like, is this, not to cut you off here, but I just want to throw this idea out real quick. It seems like almost, because I want to get your take on this, like how did they switch? Where was the turning point? Because it seems like they moved to whatever the public, whatever's being pumped out into the public minds, the culture, then it's like, okay, that's what the people are into and they want, so that we'll take that position to give it to them. That kind of seems how they move to wherever the...
Well, I see. No, I mean, so were they true believers in this stuff is the question? Right. Yeah. No, they were, you know, I mean, to what extent? Look, how true a believer are we in anything, really? You and me, like, think about it. Like, when pushed a political issue, you know, when pushed, you know why? Because we're fucking soft, rich American pussies. All of us. Because we live in America. We've never been in a war for the most part. You know, very few of us. We've never seen combat. Most of us haven't even been in the military. Have no experience with that. Been no threat of anybody ever invading us, conquering us, pillaging us, any of that shit. You know, when you've lived in the heart of a superpower for more than a century, you get real fucking soft.
Right. Yeah.
And stupid. But anyway, the left, I think, was as true. They were as true believers as anyone, right? So, you know, yeah, they were passionate, and you know this because of the militancy that they demonstrated in the demonstrations in the 60s and early 70s, where they were really fighting cops in the streets. They were really smashing windows, not like fucking Antifa, whose teeth should be smashed out. They were smashing windows. Now, it was kind of stupid because it was also businesses that had nothing necessarily to do with the war, but at least it was like an anti-war protest, and they were also correct that, like, the banks, which I think they targeted, by the way, I want to say this, I hope this is true. I think that they tended to smash the windows of the banks who were completely complicit in the war, So it's that left, it's funny because my parents were completely, that's who they were politically. That's exactly what they were doing. And then labor organizing, which is another thing that I'm not so keen on, but like their major issues were actually those things, right? My parents, that's what they were up to. Right. And I think that's heroic. Now, my parents now politically are a fucking nightmare. Like they just watch MSNBC every single day. And they call the Democrats, Mike, by their first names. First names. So it's Kamala.
My parents are there too. Yeah,
it's Kamala and it's Joe and it's Gavin and it's no shit. Like it's Nancy and it's like I can't even. So how do you go from, and they believed Russiagate? How does the 1960s lefty? This is what, dude. This crescent right here makes me want to jump off a fucking cliff. Like my parents. How do 1960s lefties? Because my parents are not the only ones who did this. Who were anti-war, right? Who were for détente with the Soviet Union big time, right? How do those people end up believing that Russia installed a dictator in the United States of America? How honest to God, I don't, that's a transformation that needs explaining. It needs its own historian. It really does. It needs someone to write a book. Maybe I'll do it. It needs someone to write a book on that, but that's so pathetic. And it's so far from what I want them to be, which is what they were when they were young.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. It's funny how much this has to do with my own biography and how, like, I wonder how much of it is just simply like some psychological, some Freudian shit on my part, to
like
want my
projection
parents,
or something. But
or to want my parents to be like the golden childhood before everything went to shit or something like that. I don't know.
Make my parents great again. Yeah, Thaddeus Russell. Yeah,
but the politics are totally obviously true, right? We know that those were the issues. And we all love those. And then now they don't care about those issues. They care about these insane things that don't make any sense. I mean, that don't exist, or like exist that they exaggerate so wildly. It's just not even, God, what was it today? The stat I saw, 50%.
Are you talking about the Bill Maher thing?
Yes. What was Bill Maher?
Yeah, that was great. Yeah. That when polled, Democrats said that COVID will.
Right.
I want to say COVID. Are we going to get flagged here? So it's
they're
going to be like, for information about vaccines, go to the CDC. But it was like 40% of Democrats believe, 40% of Democrats believe that people were dying at a rate of 50% and over.
Yes,
something like that.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I'll put the Bill Maher thing in the show notes. Yeah.
50% when it's like 1% or less than 1%. Right.
Right.
They believe that 50. So like almost half of Democrats. That's the educated party, guys.
Supposedly.
It is. It's the college educated party, right? They believe that shit, that 50% of people got COVID. Like, that's so. Listen, that is an indictment of CNN and MSNBC and the New York Times like I've never seen before. That might be the most damning indictment of the liberal media the legacy establishment media outlets, which have become just. I grew up with those things, man. I've been reading them since the 1970s, right? I read the New York Times cover to cover every single day for like 3 decades. All right. Like, I read the New Yorker all the time. Like, I listen to NPR daily, every day for years. I loved all these things, right? Never loved CNN, but even CNN is just radically different than it was. It was always bad, but the New York Times, it was always an establishment rag in the tank for the Democrats, no doubt about it. But like, they're not even pretending. They're not even trying. They're not even, it's just almost upfront. Like, we are here for one reason, which is to take down Trump and then take down. What's interesting is that it's really just old fashioned Republican conservative politics now that they're going after. It's really not any different than what Reaganites were saying. In fact, it's softer. And in a lot of ways, like Reaganites, what they said about like welfare recipients and shit, like was pretty nasty, But in terms of policies, it's just what used to be just regular old Republican, like conservative Republican, the conservative wing, but like half of the Republican Party, like ultra mainstream positions in American discourse and politics. And now they're like, see, this is what, like, because they control the media, they can cancel them in the media, but that doesn't cancel them in life. They still are there in Alabama, haunting you every day. Fuckface liberals, in San Francisco. I watch Bannon every day. Bannon War Room. Everyone should watch this. Swear to God, it's it's like this whole window into this whole, as I said, this world that all of liberal media ignores. You know, you just don't know about these people, and this is why they're so fucking furious. And yeah, so I don't know. That's going to be like, there's going to be shootouts, man. There's going to be right. There's going to be shootouts with Trump supporters at their houses. They're going to come to somebody's house on some bullshit charge. It's politically motivated because he was at the Capitol or whatever, said this about Nancy Pelosi or what. And there's going to be fucking shootouts. And then guess what? Then the ATF and the FBI and everybody's got the pretext, the justification. And can you imagine CNN, their coverage of this? Yeah, there's got to be at least one shooter. There's going to be at least one armed conflict. Got to be between a Trump supporter and cops. Got to be, right? Okay, we all agree that the likelihood is excellent for that. Now, how is the media going to cover that? This is going to be fucking terrible because then they're going to have. You think Charlottesville was a great justification? And now they control government. So, you know, and our second best-selling course of all time at Renegade University is 3D printed guns, how to make 3D printed guns. You know, I mean, Biden just said he's going to go after ghost guns. He doesn't even know what that means, but he was told to do that, told to say that, and I'm sure they will. You know, so I mean, this shit has like major ramifications. Right. And we're entering a really dangerous time.
Right. Yeah. I mean, which is it is pretty freaky. You know, it's almost like there's this thing of like, well, you fight against the thing, and then you win, and you become the thing that you were fighting against. So the pure values of the old left, you know, and then they win, and now they're on top of the mountain, and they become the cathedral. They become the church of woke. They become their enemies, and it just becomes insanity. And then the trappings of the intelligentsia, the intellectual Ivy League establishment, it's a prison. It's a complete ideological prison, and they continuously feed peer-reviewed garbage, you know, to people. So then what are you left with but just a nation of brain-dead zombies that are getting their news from all the places that they still think are reputable, and they're just in there. And you could present all the facts and all the logic and all the data. It's so hard to get any of them because they'll counter you with different things or say different things. For example, something like you just said, like I watch Bannon or whatever. I could imagine people going like, "Oh, well, that's it. I don't trust this guy." It's like, why? Because he is an open mind and he wants to explore all the nuance of opinions that are out there. That's the thing that it's like for the once tolerant left has become the intolerant cathedral, the church, right? And so, you know, even today, I tweeted something and about like vaccines or whatever, and someone goes, "Oh, you ever hear of this guy named Q? You should meet him." So it's like, and James Corbett, who was on your show, who's brilliant. I've been watching him for years, and he said something. I think he said the most powerful weapon is not a nuclear bomb. It's not all. It's narrative. Right. Yes, he did. So what do you think about that? We think we're in a narrative warfare where, you know, reality has been fragmented. There's pieces, you know, you can get information from all over the place. So people could literally are living in different realities. It's kind of an insane asylum. Yeah.
Shelby Steele makes this really just brilliant, totally unprovable, but I think totally brilliant argument. Which is that people like Donald Trump, and Donald Trump is just the most famous exemplar of this, but, you know, anyone who exhibits that kind of attitudes, behaviors about gender, race, sexuality, that stuff, right, kind of reminds us on a very deep level of what we imagine America, what America used to be. What America was before the 1960s, basically pre-1960s America. And we have been trained as a nation, as a national culture, to be deeply, deeply ashamed of the old America. Right? Have you noticed? Like, there is, and I've never been for celebrating America or any of that bullshit. Not, but we are trained that there's really nothing good in the past. Nothing. I'm a historian. I have a Ph.D. in U.S. history. This is my training. Trust me, I've read every book. That's true. It's all bad. Except for the social movements, except for the left, but America, who are fighting America, right? But America, nah, it's all bad. It's all oppression. Shelby Steele says this is why this explains the outsized reaction to Donald Trump, the hysterical reaction to Donald Trump. Like, what was that? And it's a really interesting question. Like, I still don't know, but I think on some deep level that it's part of what was going on, is that he's the past we're ashamed of, right? He's the father or the grandfather who embarrasses us at Thanksgiving because he says stuff about Negroes or something like that, right? Something mortifying, like representing old America. What America used to be, and we've grown past that because we're woke now, right? So the left has been, really interested. I'd say solely interested in narrative in a lot of ways. Like, they're only interested in symbolic politics. For instance, they really care about the war when somebody who is aesthetically not pleasing, like George Bush, is running it. But they don't care at all when someone beautiful like Barack Obama is running the war.
Well, that's a great. I just want to say that's a fantastic point to make. The aesthetics.
Oh yeah, it's what they're all about. Yeah,
that's
the left. Yeah. Narrative. So they and this is why the Oscars are so important to them. You ever think about that? Like, who fucking care? Like, on one level, like, and I used to like it, but like, it used to be huge. And by the way, it's diminished. I mean, you got younger people don't even know, but like the Oscars was like,
they don't care.
The Super Bowl for, American culture for decades and decades, right? It's like, so that, they understood that the narrative is the key to everything. But so much so that they've internalized it. So to them, the narrative is what matters. The story is what matters. The aesthetic is what matters. You've got to have a certain number of Black friends.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to have a certain number of gay friends. You have to have a certain, you have to accessorize well with the minorities. Really. And why do they hate capitalism, Mike? Goddamn well why they hate capitalism, because
sure.
Walmart is tacky, because McDonald's is tacky, because capitalism creates tacky things for the working class, things that working class ordinary people like, but we don't like because we're all college educated bourgeois fucks who pretend to be revolutionaries. This back to the history of the left. I wanted to say this. The left in this country, not so much in all other countries, but in the United States of America, the left, the radical left, has been like 99% rich kids. Like back to the 19th century, okay? Like 99% rich kids. Look it up. Woody Guthrie, just one example, just off the top of the dome here. Woody Guthrie, right? The famous communist troubadour. Our Land is, the communist anthem, which became the national anthem, one of the national anthems, right? Look it up. His dad was like a real estate magnate.
Right.
A real estate magnate. Like Woody Guthrie. I mean, you name me a famous radical leftist, and I will show you a guy with a dad who's a fucking dentist or a doctor or
Jim Morrison.
Or a politician or who?
Jim Morrison.
Who is his dad?
Oh, wasn't his dad like connected to the intelligence agency? Oh, okay.
I don't know. Right. Yeah. But
Yeah.
the left, man, it's all rich people. So it's rich people's politics. See, that's why it's all superficial. They've never had skin in the game. They've been rich. They've been wealthy people living in the United States. You got no skin in the game. Nothing's going to happen to you. You're good, right? No bomb's going to drop on your head. No cop's going to hit you over the head. Nothing. You're good. You know? So it's all about movies. It's all about feelings. It's all about optics. It's all about the BLM banner. It's all about winning, giving a black person an Oscar. It's all about giving a black person something else. And it's all about putting another black person over here and over there and in front and, and having your Facebook profile picture with your one black friend in your arm in arm. You ever notice that?
Yeah. And then you could put the COVID-19 banner or whatever they're putting, the lens that they're trying to get you to do now on Facebook on that too. Yeah, and taking selfies with masks. Yeah, I mean, that's what I tweeted today where my friend was saying something. I was like, you don't need laws to enforce things anymore when you have shame, guilt, and the culture of cool and whatever the trend is. So it's all marketing now. It's all brand slogans and marketing and optics and aesthetics and clickbait and headlines, and there's no depth. So where are, like, I think Naomi Wolf tweeted something out the other day that I responded to, and I was just like, she's talking about like, where are the people? And I'm like, I really can only think of maybe like 10 on my hands, like Matt Taibbi, Glenn Greenwald, maybe like even comedians like Jimmy Dore or Aaron Mate,
Max
who
Blumenthal.
else? Max Blumenthal. I don't know. Chris Hedges. What do you think about him? You think he's in there?
Sucks. Horrible.
Okay. He's terrible.
He might be good on some things.
That's what I'll
check out. Chris Hedges thinks pornography should be banned. All right. Like he's a terrible leftist. Yeah. He's so moralistic. He's super Christian. God, he's gross. Yeah. I don't know why people, he's been anti-war, but like which is great, fine, but check it. No, he's a huge Christian. I mean, he's an actual Christian, and so it's like so politics is like extra moralistic for him, like as moralistic as socialists already are. Combine that with a preacher's morality. Oh fuck, the guy is like off. That's why he hates porn so much. Like,
I didn't know that about him. Okay, yeah.
Oh, he's totally puritanical. And again, and the reason my capitalism is so terrible is all of the products.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of the goods and services we get, they're horrible because they're so fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a great point. This early on in the pandemic, like it was, I think even myself, I originally was like, oh shit, like there's something like happening here. Like what is this? Like what's going on? Maybe this is like kind of serious. And then I quickly went to like, oh, okay, like this is fucking bullshit. But the the saying that we can't get together for large groups, saying that we can't be at a concert, jam-packed, sweating, dancing, on copious amounts of psychedelics, loving people. The thing that I loved about that kind of 60s spirit, revolutionary, Tim Leary, kind of like free love, kind of thing. You don't hear that anymore. You don't hear any talk about love. You don't hear any talk about sex. You don't, hedonism is looked at as like a bad thing. And these things that have had devastating psychological impacts on people from the lockdowns is that it's not a luxury to be able to get together. Like to go to it's not like, oh, it's just this like frivolous thing. We don't really need it. We could just Zoom, we could just live stream. It's like, we really need to be like physical. And so I was thinking, maybe, do you have any thoughts around that? Like around what happened to sort of sexual liberation and love and sweaty messiness, because that's really what makes life worth living, in my opinion. Otherwise we might as well all be robots.
I had a student once say in the middle of a class, democracy hates sex. And she's right. Because sovereigns hate sex. Government officials hate sex. Authorities hate sex. Employers hate sex. Bosses hate sex, right? Generals, captains, coaches, teachers hate sex. Have you noticed? All those occupations, right? They have nothing good to say about sex, right?
What are the implications of living in a society like this? Or maybe you could, and why are people so easy to accept these kinds of, I don't know, maybe puritanical types of positions in the name? Is it in the name of safety, health, hygiene, this kind of thing? I don't know. Maybe you had something like this happen during the AIDS thing in the 80s, and people were like, oh, well, we have to be more careful now or more safe now. So is it all because, so is it under the guise of that, and people are just afraid, so they're conforming, or is there something else that has happened with the culture in the political sphere?
So it's the COVID thing tapped into our puritanical streak, my point about the occupations, those are occupations that hold moral authority, right? So that tells you that what the culture is, right? What those people represent, the dominant culture, the formal culture, right? It's anti-sex. It's a puritanical. There's a deep puritanical streak in our culture, which I understand is like weird to hear in some ways and counterintuitive, because if you like turn on the computer, there's porn there, I get it, and there you go, even on the street, there's still billboards with like bikinis, chicks in bikinis, and they still advertise for beer and booze. I get it. But there's still obviously a profound puritanical impulse in American culture. And I think the masking and the lockdowns found a really welcoming host there. Right.
Wow. Viruses need hosts.
Yeah, that's right.
Virus of the mind.
So the puritanical part of us as a culture was like, yeah, we love showing at least that we sacrifice for the greater good, that's the heart of Puritanism. For God's community, we sacrifice for what God wants. We sacrifice our freedom, our pleasure, our vanity, right? Right. So the mask is a perfect emblem of Puritanism, of course. It's anti-sexual. You can't even tell what people look like. You can't see facial expressions. So it reduces communication to just the functional, right? The inflections and the facial movements that tell you so much you don't see anymore. So language has been reduced. The depth and richness of language has been reduced because of that. People, again, I said earlier, like people think I'm being like childish or something, for being so upset about masks, but it's profound what it does. So, I mean, imagine a society in which it was permanent and everywhere. I mean, that's a nightmare, is it not, everyone? Like, this is really, really, I need people to be more upset about this. And I'm a little, that's what's most upsetting. Certainly where I live, it seems like there are more people who like to wear masks than don't want to wear masks. Mm-hmm. It seems like that. And it seems like most people just don't even notice or care. They're fine. They don't care. They don't mind. I'm like, I can't stand that thing. But on so many levels, I think it does just tremendous damage to the culture.
Right. Yeah. As soon as I started seeing people making masks with cool logos and things like that on it, I was like, oh, it's over. Forget it. Now it's going to become a fashion accessory. And then once it's a fashion accessory, it's not going to go away. And to me, I find it deeply troubling. And I'm going to see my family for the first time in a year and a half. And it breaks my heart to see my nieces and nephews that way. 5 years old, 3 years old. Yeah. I mean, it's a tragedy, They should
not be wearing masks. They should not be. It's not. There's no scientific or medical reason for them to wear masks. Right. It's ridiculous.
Right. Yeah, it's heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking. But you said something there where I need more people to be mad about this or understand this. I think it was and it's like I feel that as well. I feel. Why do we need more people? What is because I've heard people, and I mean, I know why, I just want to get your opinion, but I've heard people say, look, just like, who cares? Just like live your life, worry about yourself, blah, 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 this and that. It's like, no, I want to change things. Like, I want to make a change, and I can't do it by myself. You sure as hell can't do it by yourself. That's probably why you started Renegade University, is to create an actual change that makes a difference. But how can we get more people on board with this if they're not paying attention to facts and logic, if they're so wrapped up in the fear? What is the, what do we do? Do we have to come up with a compelling conspiracy type thing like QAnon and get people lured in that way, but like on the positive side? I don't even know. No, exactly.
No, vote. Vote, Mike. You want change in society? Vote. What do you? Okay. Why? This is obvious. Come on.
Yeah. Just go to the booth. Yeah. Okay.
Just vote, and vote.
That's often. Worked every time. Yeah.
And make sure you vote often, especially if it's in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia, or Michigan.
Right.
Make sure you vote often.
Bring out the dead, and wear your pins.
Yes. Make sure when you're there. Okay. Well, let's look at historical examples of successful social movements. How about Christianity? There's a good one. So Christianity, pretty successful, right? Maybe the most successful. No, definitely the most successful social movement of all time.
Yeah.
World champion. Islam is a strong second, by the way. Those are the two most successful social movements of all time. Right?
Yep.
Right? That's okay. Why is that? Do we think? I think, was it because they just had the like sexiest proselytizers, like they just had the best talent on their team, like going and spreading the gospel? I think no. I think it was the story. I think it was the story. And then, of course, yes, the way the proselytizers did tell the story later, like the Apostle Paul and others later, and all the priests since then, sure. But the story itself, right, of one man sacrificing his life for us, right? And that we are offered eternal peace if we follow his teachings, and his teachings are about sharing and loving and giving yourself over and all these things that sound so wonderful, right? So this story, right? It's just a really compelling story. And so you need to have a compelling story. And so libertarians are phenomenally stupid and bad at this, like just absolutely retarded. There's no story at all. They don't even try. There isn't even a libertarian story. Like socialists have stories. What's the libertarian story? Oh, Irwin Schiff died in prison for not paying his taxes. Like, that's all you got. Like, what the fuck? So the problem is that, I'm talking about actually inventing fiction. I'm just telling you that, unfortunately, that's to me what everything is. All discourse is, and certainly political discourse is. It's fiction, narrative, storytelling. It's all the same to me. There's no true story out there, right? So you've got to figure out a way to tell a story that's compelling to people, and in ways that's not going to just appeal to the old tropes and the old impulses, right? Like of self-sacrifice for the greater good, for the nation state, right? By the way, Christ sacrificing his body for God, for us, for all of us, was really quickly transformed into sacrificing our bodies for the nation state, many centuries later. But it's the same thing, same impulse, right? The soldier is the Christ figure, right? The cop is the Christ figure, the dead cop. Right? Dead soldier. That's why they are the most revered people in all of American history, right? The dead soldier, the dead cop. So let's come up with a narrative that's not about that, right? That's still going to be appealing to Americans and Europeans, I suppose, but certainly Americans, right? I mean, that's what you got to figure out. You got to figure out something in the American consciousness that is consonant with freedom, the way that you and I think of it, right? Mm-hmm. And is not consonant with the authoritarian impulses and the puritanical impulses in America. Americans are complicated. Even you and I probably have all those in us, right? At the same time. Mm. There's a puritanical part of me. There's a hedonistic part of me, right? There's an authoritarian streak in me, sure, and there's an anarchist streak in me, and there's it's a complicated culture. So you've got to like thread the needle or whatever it is, like find those little nooks and crannies in the American consciousness where the good stuff is, and put really compelling stories in there that awaken that part of the mind, that bring it to life, that activate the body, right? That move it out the door into the streets or wherever it's going to go, right? I think that celebrating agorism is the way to go. I think that making black market operations sexy is going to do the job for us once. And I don't think that's hard to do, right? I think that will appeal to Americans in a lot of ways. We're talking about entrepreneurs, right? Business people who are bucking the state, the government, the man. And by the way, black market entrepreneurs tend to be not white. Very much, right? Start celebrating like black women who own nail salons in the hood, underground, illegally. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Make fucking movies about them.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Because they're heroes, as a matter of fact, who deserve fucking movies. Because that's a hero. Hello? Mm-hmm. Right? The ones that became so successful that they employ other people. Right? Go in the hood. The black market is in the hood. This is where, we know this, right? Much of poor and working class America spends a considerable amount of its money in the black market. And I'm not even talking about just drugs. Drugs is just one little part of it, Right. So do that. And then you get anti-statism and you get entrepreneurialism. And you look woke as fuck because you're celebrating black women in the hood.
Yeah, and it's all about the optics.
And you are woke as fuck because you know what? Those politics are far more common among people in the fucking hood than socialism and social democracy and liberalism. Way more common. Listen to hip hop for a sec. Listen to hip hop.
Yeah.
Hello, black market entrepreneurs. That's all they talk about.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And I mean, it gets to this idea of like, this is where I think this is my like kind of white pill thing is like, I know, like, I think Malice created the term, and then I was recently asked about it, but it's really about creating this system that makes the status quo just look boring, lame, and obsolete. Like it wouldn't make sense to use that because now we have things like encrypted messaging. We're connected. People want to do fun things. People want to go to like underground parties and things of that nature. And once you start experiencing it and participating in it, there's like no going back. It's like, why would I go back to this stupid thing? So yeah, make an appealing alternative that makes it obsolete, as Bucky Fuller said.
It's got to be. Again, just look to social movements that have been successful. Like what's gotten people activated. And now the thing is, then you have to think about like what kinds of activation do you want? So there's marching in the streets. We know all about that. Yep. What exactly has that accomplished? Okay, I'll tell you what it's accomplished. The number of unarmed black men killed by police is exactly the same as it was 10 years ago. It was exactly the same last year and the year before that and the year before that and the year before that. It hasn't changed. We still have more than 2 million people in prison. That hasn't changed. Go fuck yourselves. Black Lives Matter. Forever and ever. Go fuck yourselves. You're a bunch of fucking frauds. And by racializing this, you have made it impossible to change the fucking thing because you have no coalition. You think you're going to win just from black people, just from making it no, here's the thing though. There's 500,000 white people in prison. And you know what? There's thousands and thousands of white people whose loved ones were shot to death by cops too, that you could stand on stages with together in a non-racial coalition that, trust me, would absolutely overthrow these dictatorial police regimes we have in many of these cities. Damn straight. But you won't, because it has to be about race. It has to be about race. And they've accomplished, have you noticed, not a fucking thing. Even, the defund police thing was so stupid, that it's just being all repealed immediately. Like all the cities have changed their minds and gone back on it. Mm-hmm. So we're back to where we were, it's just not even, we never left. There was never any change, because if it's just about the racism in the minds of evil cops, we just keep chasing them. We just go get Derek Chauvin and we pay attention to that trial, and that the trial is the most important thing, because we've got to punish Derek Chauvin, and we've got to, but meanwhile, like chokeholds are still illegal, whatever. It's about the policy. And meanwhile, there's all these laws passed mostly by liberals and progressives that require the police to interact with civilians on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. That's what's causing all the killings, by the way. It's those laws for the most part,
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's almost like, and so that white pilling, thing is like, okay, I see a way where we all start, doing these things and taking part in the black market stuff and just creating the things that we want and getting people involved. But I also kind of see like the more chaotic or messier version of that, where it's like, this thing's going to have to like get crazy, but they're going to have to destroy themselves. It's going to have to implode, and chaos is going to have to happen, because someone I was at this thing the other day with this author Charles Eisenstein. Are you familiar with Charles Eisenstein?
Maybe.
Yeah, actually, you guys should have a conversation. That would be great. But he talked about how we have to allow chaos to come in, because if we don't allow it to come in, it's going to break the walls down, and it's going to force its way in. We want this orderly society. We want, and that's where we're thinking about, like, the left is getting upset. They're like, it has to be Potato Head, not Mr. Potato. It's like they're inventing things to get angry about and to get worked up about, because it plays into their identity and the story that they've crafted, and they won't be seen as a good moral person if they don't have some kind of virtuous thing to get enraged about.
It's rich kid politics. I'm telling you.
Rich kid politics, yeah.
It's all rich kid politics, yeah.
Will that blow up in their face? Will they eat themselves?
Gosh, I hope so.
Okay, cool.
Well, I don't know. I mean, so long as we are a country mostly made up of relatively wealthy, sheltered people, sheltered from the vicissitudes that most people in the world have faced and still face. Even West people in Europe, their standard of living is the same as ours, basically, but they have, they all have relatives who died in a war, it wasn't that long ago when tanks were crossing borders over there, right? Back and forth. I mean, we don't have that. Like, nothing like that happened, since the Civil War. So,
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. So long as we have these ignorant, wealthy, sheltered, comfortable people, we're probably going to have ignorant politics.
Right.
And this is why we should not have democracy. I mean, come on. It just seems obvious to me. Like, and tell that to some liberal Democrat. They'll be like, oh my God, you're a fascist. And I'll be like,
heresy. So yeah.
You're the one telling me all the time about how stupid and dangerous and racist Americans are, right? How racist and dangerous and fascist ordinary Americans are, but you want them to have the vote over you. You want them. Oh, by the way, whites constitute a majority of the population still, guys. So if you want democracy, that means that's going to be white supremacy. Hello, ding dong. That's white supremacy. That's what you want?
I love that meme. Have you seen that meme online where it's like four out of five citizens love democracy, and the four guys are just beating the one guy on the floor? It's like,
totally.
Yeah. I mean, it's mob rule, but I feel like there's just a part of us that's okay with that. We're just like, well, yeah, that's just the way it is. What else do you do? So I don't think that, and what, shifting gears a little bit here, I want to talk about what is it about the religion of science in our democracy that has plagued our minds, and particularly this past year? What is going on with this?
Well, okay, so we just talked about how ignorant Americans are. And by the way, this is known, this is established, this is an empirical question. I mean, Americans test way lower than all other countries on basic knowledge, and especially about the world. So I don't know, man. I think Americans are hopeless. They're so ignorant, and it's not going to change. And to me, it just needs to be the argument against democracy. We just need to deploy that constantly over and over again because it's a profound fact and it's unavoidable that Americans are ignorant. We know this. It's been tested. And they have the power essentially to determine whether other countries even exist. They have the power to determine whether there's war, world war. It's really, really a bad idea to put the biggest military superpower under the control of the American people as a whole. That seems like an extremely dangerous and bad idea. These people, we know this, right? Some huge percentage of Americans can't identify where Washington, D.C. is on a map. Washington, D.C. And I'm not talking about like within a mile or two. I'm saying they don't know it's in the mid-Atlantic. How many do you think can find Syria on a map? Yet they all just were implored to vote collectively for the guy who just bombed Syria.
Right.
So it's just like, those are the people who are ultimately making the big decisions, right? It's the American people. It's not the military industrial complex. I'm sorry, that goes away tomorrow if the American people decide that the military industrial complex should go away. That goes away instantly. It's the American people are responsible for everything. They're responsible for Trump and Biden. They're responsible for mass incarceration and the war in Syria. They're responsible for everything. I'm sorry, because they keep voting for these fucks and then shaming me when I won't.
Yeah, and probably lumping you into categories that don't make sense just because it's easier and convenient for them.
Yeah, so at the very least, earn your fucking vote and show me that you know where Syria is before you tell me to vote for Joe Biden. How about that? How about that as a deal? Next time you tell me to vote for Joe Biden, you tell me what Article 5 of the North Atlantic Treaty is, okay? You tell me, like, whether or not we're obligated to go to war if any of the member states of NATO are attacked. Do you know that? No, you didn't know that, did you? You don't know a fucking thing. So this is why we need to constantly talk about the ignorance of Americans and use it as evidence supporting the argument against democracy. There you go. And Heil Hitler, Mike. There you go.
Well, I could edit it in if you want to say, and this is why everybody needs to go to Renegade University. And
That's right.
Yeah, but really, seriously though, I mean, because it starts with the hearts and minds of kids, and as you're growing up, learning. I mean, it's Plato. It's what is it? The allegory of the cave, right? Like. Yeah. It's like, hey, this is all we know. No, there's a whole world out there, but this is the curated section of the narrative that we want you to buy into, right? The story.
I mean, those two oceans on either side of us. I mean, that has a lot to do with it. A lot of it's geography. We've just been protected from other major military powers just by luck, basically, of having those two oceans, right? The major military powers have been in Europe and in Asia, and we've just had this huge thing between us and them that's kept us from going. And I really think no memory of war has a lot to do with American politics. I think also, and then the wealth. We are relatively the wealthiest country on earth. Poor people in America are wealthier than almost anyone else, than most people in the rest of the world, than a majority, I think, probably. I mean, I'm sure there are billions of people still who live in like real third world poverty. No one in America lives like that. Homeless people on the streets have access to more stuff than the poor in Mozambique. So, but at the top level, it just creates Yeah, this very superficial politics, right? Because they don't have to worry about making a buck, the way that, you know what I mean? Like in the big picture, they're not in a depression, an economic crisis like that, where it's not about survival. People don't even notice their taxes being taken.
Right. No, right. Yeah.
They don't even notice their income tax. They don't even notice it. They barely think about it. Right. So that's why they think the way they do. And that's why it's all symbolism. It's all superficial shit, accessorizing, having black friends, watching the right movies, saying the right things. It's all about, it's like clothing. It's adorning yourself with the correct politics. That's what it's about. It's not about anything real. And that's why they're anti-war 1 minute and pro-war the next. And that's why they probably went to circle all the way back, why they went from the 1960s left to the 2020s left. They went from freedom and love and peace, desegregation, to fucking marriage, right? Gay marriage, and invading Syria, and staying in Afghanistan. And their guys did that shit. Like,
yeah. Well, as long as it's LGBTQ friendly, then it's okay. That's their view, right? Like, it's like,
definitely.
Yeah. It's like, well, yeah. Oh, good thing that they're included in the military now. It's like, well, I think no one should be included in the military. Let's just wrap the whole project up, bring it back, and say, hey, that was some really horrible shit, but we never do seem to learn. Yeah.
See, they want to be the emperor too. See, that's the thing.
Yeah. It's
not right just there. not just the white men. They want everyone. Everyone needs to be the emperor for a day or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Next time, I'll try to drink some coffee. I was getting on some like serious tangents there, which are just, I don't know, may have something to do with drugs.
What drugs?
Little cannabis.
Oh yeah. Well, that's good for you. It opens your mind, makes you more creative and introspective,
Exactly. Yeah. So when do you have guests on who are tripping when you're interviewing them? Does that happen?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
So it's all like post hoc discussions of trips.
Not really. It's funny. I don't even really talk about psychedelics that much.
Oh.
It's a part of my lifestyle. Like, that's why I have you on the show. That's why I had Vin Armani on the show. We talked about psychedelics a little bit there. Who else? I like to have people on the show because it's all well and good. Psychedelics are all well and good, but I don't want to live in a brave new world where it's just orgy porgy and, no real revolution, no real liberation. It's all, simulated, matrix of pleasures while, the empire can march across the globe and destroy all of life as we know it. But as long as we have MDMA therapy, we can get those soldiers that have PTSD the healing they need.
I agree. I disagree with you, Mike.
Oh yeah. Okay, good.
I think you're wrong about that. So,
okay.
And I think I've been making this argument this whole interview.
All right.
Change starts from cultural change. And it's from offerings, and it's also comes, I think we would like change to come from offering people something attractive rather than scaring them away from something else, right?
Yeah.
So MDMA, and not just that, but sort of the whole psychedelic culture, right? And for that matter, the whole cannabis culture, which I'm very kind of proud of. I don't know, whatever. I really like it. I think it's a really...
Oh yeah, happy 420, by the way.
I'm proud to be part of it. Yeah, exactly. Right. I'm proud to be associated with it. Put it that way. Yeah. There's a lot to offer. And then of course, all the therapeutic uses, that's just exploding now into the mainstream, therapeutic uses of the psychedelics. And, it changes people's lives.
Sure.
And this is now now it's a fairly, Michael Pollan has this huge book. It's like a mainstream position now, like normies saying this stuff. Mushrooms are now legal in Oakland where I live. It's Tim Leary, who you mentioned earlier, and who I should have mentioned when I was giving my list of great lefties in history, he's definitely at the top of that list,
Yeah.
He, I think, is responsible for more good stuff in the 60s than anybody else.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's right. So, so that's a whole lot to offer. And the thing is, it changes your life too. As I said, it really, for many, many people, as you know, it profoundly changes people's lives, even if they don't do the drugs ever again. Right? I did MDMA once when I was 19. This is like 500 years ago. But I learned some profound lessons though, and I've learned a ton from cannabis, and cannabis has changed me in really good ways.
Nice.
Really good ways. Yeah. Oh yeah. So if you did that, imagine that, right? Imagine if all Americans took MDMA, just that. I think we might not have an empire for very long.
I hope so. And I guess I love how you disagreed with me and offered that, because that you're bringing me back, because I used to feel that more, and I just don't see that now. I see people conforming to the sort of corporate scientism narrative, psychedelic people lining up to get the vaccine, taking pictures of it, wearing masks, kind of conforming to, which is strange to me. So I think for the what I was talking about was kind of the psychedelic, like the mainstream psychedelic movement. I don't even know what to call it, like mainstream psychedelic movement, but the psychedelic movement that aligns itself with the like establishment, so to speak. It's like, and so I'm like, where are the people that are like, hey, fuck that shit, like, and I, where it is? It's a lot of black people that don't get the attention, that don't get the press. I go on Clubhouse, I go into these rooms, they're filled with people that are from all over the place, a lot of minorities, talking about how they use psychedelics and how it changes them. And that doesn't get talked about with MAPS and all these other places, really. It's like there's an underground psychedelic movement that the mainstream psychedelic establishment wants to distance itself from, because they believe Tim Leary was bad because he caused the backlash that produced the war on drugs. That's their narrative. Wow. So it's a very there's a twisted sort of psychedelic scientism.
Oh wow. Okay, so it's sort of similar to what happened with cannabis once it got legalized, right? There's been a split between the white market and the black market. It's so funny that you said, what'd you say? Establishment, psychedelic.
The psychedelic scientism establishment. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, that there is a psychedelic establishment is so funny, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So where are you on that in that debate? I mean, I think I know, but like, what's your position precisely?
My position is that people need to come together to do things that they feel is going to be benefiting themselves without all of the bullshit around it that asks you to conform to some kind of social justice platform. So you can be a psychedelic person and you don't have to conform to the psychedelic scientism, social justice crowd, which is the mainstream. I had someone message me privately because they said, hey, Mike, I really appreciate how you speak out about a lot of this stuff. I actually posted something. They were telling me they posted something on their psychedelic platform where they're a part of this group, and they had to take it down. And it was something about masks or vaccine. I forget what it was, but it's questioning the narrative. So it's like, no, don't question the narrative. We don't want the government to come down on us like they did in the 60s with that bad Tim Leary. So just go with the program, and it's a game of inches. And, just like it's almost like why I left kind of like being a libertarian is because it's just like, you guys aren't getting it. Like you're not getting the, what I find is if there's a true revolution of the soul, of the spirit that happens, and you then are changed and you act with integrity, to do that, because once you start conforming to go along to get along, how long before you become the thing that you were opposed to, and it's a betrayal of your soul and you're gaslighting yourself, and now you're just one of them.
Yeah, this is like a classic social change theory question. Like this is in academia. This is the kind of thing they talk about.
Well, I'm glad we're wrapping up the podcast with a small question at the end. Yeah.
And it's basically this really old question on the left, on the Marxist left, between reform and revolution. So when I was coming up as a Marxist, this was one of the big things one of the first things you kind of confronted, like, are you for reform or revolution? And then you looked at like the historical debates about it, going back more than a century, Russians and Germans like arguing, intellectuals arguing with each other about whether as socialists we should fight for, free healthcare, or whether we should call for the whole seizure of the entire means of production by the working class, right? Should it be incremental change, or should it be like instantaneous, overnight, radical, revolutionary change, right? And you're a radical by temperament, sounds like, and so am I, and well, I mean, to me, okay, take the radical out of the equation. So they're both players, right? And this has always been the case. I mean, the revolutionaries won that debate in Russia, and then they had a revolution. And what they did was they overthrew the reformists. Like the Bolsheviks literally overthrew the Mensheviks. That was the final stage of the Russian Revolution, right? So they were, and what you got was what you got, right? I mean, so change is going to happen. The czars did go away. There was a republic of sorts. I mean, it wasn't, whatever, it was no longer a monarchy. I mean, socialists will say it was a republic. Others will say it was not, but whatever. My point is that there would have been no Russian Revolution if there were no revolutionaries. If there were no radicals, if there were no Leninists and Trotskyists, radicals, and it was only Mensheviks. If it was only Mensheviks, Russia would look like Sweden. And maybe that's a better thing, but it would have been a total different outcome. So if you want all drugs decriminalized, which I suspect you do, you don't want them mentioned in the books at all, right? You don't want the law to have anything to do with drugs, right?
Right.
Right. Not any mention. We don't want them to legalize them or illegalize them. We want them to just leave us alone entirely. That's a radical vision, a radical outcome. People who are willing to think and speak radically must do so for that ever to happen. How could it doesn't exist as an idea without radical people to conceive of the idea. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it's certainly, and the idea is going to go away real fast if radical people stop advocating for it. So I can guarantee this, the decriminalization of all drugs will never happen if people like you stop talking.
Well, I won't stop talking. Yeah, we're working on a 2022 campaign for statewide Colorado. We did it in Denver, where I am, in 2019. And oh,
wow. You're in Denver?
Yeah. Oh,
I didn't know that. I thought you were on the East Coast.
No, yeah, I moved to Denver in 2019. As soon as I got here, I started working on the decrim campaign, and we passed it May 7th. And it's been great because people don't realize, I know you have to go. I'll wrap it up here, but like it's the set and setting aspect of it. There's something that happens to you, maybe at a deep unconscious level, when you're engaging in an activity that that you could be punished for. Right? When you release that fear, then you feel more freely to operate, and people who were once good law-abiding citizens move over and say, well, now that it's fine, I'll engage with it. And you teach people how to grow mushrooms and cultivate and learn about it and educate the real truth about it, or the truth about it. And what you do is you empower these people and they become emboldened to be champions of freedom. And so I'm definitely seeing that here in Denver. We're definitely moving more in that direction. That's why I moved here, getting a house in the mountains, creating a little, situation out there, hosting retreats, doing all kinds of things like that. Because that's how you change. Like I can rant all day about this stuff, but I think you're probably better suited for that. You can make more articulate points than I can. But I'll also continue talking about it and working towards it to bring it about, because it's like you could tell people all day long what sex is like, but until they have a sexual experience, then they're going to get it, right? Same thing with psychedelics. You could tell people all day long about the benefits and this and that, but until they experience something, then they're on board. Then they'll come on board. And so creating that culture of change, and the way that we won the campaign was just grassroots, total grassroots. People going door to door. Hey, have you heard about the benefits of psilocybin mushrooms? No. Okay, got it. Or have you? Okay, yes. All right, great. You want to support this? Great. And vote by mail, all that kind of stuff. And I think that there's definitely a chance. Like I'm not pessimistic about it. So I have hope for real change. A change is going to come. Change is going to come. And,
it's happening. It's already happening.
It's spreading.
Like I said, mushrooms are illegal in Oakland now, and I think other places too, right? Isn't?
They're Oakland, Oregon, Denver. There's a bill in New Jersey, fucking Washington D.C. Decriminalize nature.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. So
that's so great.
I think what's really interesting about the time that we're living in is there's so many things happening at the same time that's almost impossible to track. And it just seems like there's so much chaos, and reality has been fragmented into these little bubbles, and we're all operating within it. But there's a lot of good, there's a lot of bad, but we'll see where it goes. And then someone will write the Renegade's history of this period after your,
just going to say AOC, and Matt Gaetz, the Trump guy, they co-authored a bill to somewhat legalize MDMA. Do you know about that?
Okay. Interesting. I didn't know about that. No.
Yeah. I mean, it was a limited thing. It was like within a particular context, it was legal, but it was radical. And I think they were the only two people who voted for it, even, or something. I don't know, but they were the co-authors of it. Which is really, so that speaks to not how wonderful they are, everyone.
Yeah.
But it speaks to that there's some movements underneath both within Trumpism, because Gates is totally a Trump dude, and within sort of the Bernie AOC wing of the Democratic Party, there's some very positive movement for drug legalization. Yeah. So that's what that means.
And here we go back full circle back to the beginning. Wherever you look, no matter how terrible, there are some positive, there are some silver linings, there are some glimmering, shots of hope. There is a shining star in the dark night sky. And Trump made the Right to Try Act, where if you were, diagnosed with a terminal illness, you have the right to try anything to help you with that. So there's a lot of good everywhere. Let's just not get sucked into the trap of contained rebellion or a game of inches reform, and really get radical and be renegades. Go to Renegade University, Thaddeus. Tell the people, man of the people, Thaddeus Russell here, right here, true man of the people. Tell them where they can go to find you and to get more informed about what's really going on.
Go to renegadeuniversity.com and then listen to my podcast, Unregistered, weekly, every podcatcher and on YouTube.
Excellent. Thanks, Thad. Yeah, those links will be in the show notes. And I have to say, Unregistered is a phenomenal podcast. I remember, like in 2017, we spoke, and you're like, "What's this podcasting thing all about?" Like I'm thinking about getting into it, and I was like, "Yeah, try this, that." And man, I mean, you are just like, it's just like murderer's row of heavy hitters, like week after week, and such a good podcast. I might even do a little intro like you do for this one, just to play with it, and because it's all fantastic. So hey man, really appreciate it, and try and stay as sane as you can. We're out there There are all kinds of people everywhere you look, whether it's a psychedelic community or like you were saying, the Trumpers or whatever. There's all the people that don't have homes, but we can all agree on lots of things. And we're out there and we're making changes. And you're making big changes, my friend, with Renegade University and all the work that you do. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mike. That was awesome. I appreciate that so much, man.
You got it.
Thank you. All right.
Peace out, everybody.
Bye.